Lambert, I believe we are live again.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's like every other time. It's like, huh.
Probably delay and then it'll pop up here in
Yeah.
just a minute.
Yeah, and you know, which that's part of it. I told Amber I want to try to do this, get back to once a week. Now it may not be once a week themed because it does take a lot of prep to actually do a themed live stream on some subject.
It does.
But yeah, so we've been at IMTS for the
We're at
last week.
IMTS.
Yeah,
Yes.
anybody that's watched anybody's feed lately, it's all been IMTS pretty much.
Yes.
But so if you don't know, IMTS is more of I would call it more of what does IMTS stand for?
Um. So
Something machine tool.
no, it's manufacturing. Uh.
There you go. Somebody can look up
Manufacturing technology. International Manufacturing Technology
show.
Show.
Probably.
Yes.
And you can look it up and tell us we're wrong. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting show for us because I think even early on you asked, well, what are we really bringing back from this? But it's more of almost the finished product. The people that are going there, they're looking to buy machines. And most of those machines do have some type of PLC in them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm looking around at it, it's always like, huh, now what's going to happen when that breaks? But yeah. What was your highlight at the show?
I think my highlight was the last day we were there.
Which part about it?
Just that I got to see dear friends and see people that I hadn't seen in a while, and it was nice to catch up and be able to hug and see their faces and talk to them and meet a few new faces, which was great.
Yeah, we did meet some new people. But as much as I like almost everything Ian Sandusky from Lakewood Machinery, something puts out, and we chat back and forth. We never actually had met, so.
Yeah.
Ian Sandusky is one of the folks that runs Practical Machinist. So met them. We met Rebecca and Curtis Wolfganger, Bill Spec Manufacturing, another part of Practical Machinist.
We got to see our dear friend Johanna.
Yes, Johanna. She's with Kawasaki.
We met her at Automate 2 years ago, and it was a very funny story. But when we saw her, we screamed because we keep looking for her every time we go to these shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was learned a lot. I wish the education part was not in the basement and it was bigger, and I think something like that would be very helpful for our kids.
Well, a couple things on that one. It was much more accessible than the previous year, and I have to give IMTS mad props for that because you had to have a special badge to get into it last time, and it was like no one had that badge. They were turning everyone away at the door. And in the end, we ended up having to get a media badge just to get down there. And so it was kind of funny. It was like when you walk through the airport and you go through the metal detector and you don't get flagged, and you're like, wow, I walked right into the student summit. It's like, oh, they're letting us in this year. That's kind of cool. But I kind of think, I wouldn't mind doing something with the student summit. I don't think we're booth worthy is probably not the right term. How is that kind of
Have an advantage though if we did, because we are in the educational training sector now.
See, I'd rather just have like we all get to like an area where we all can talk to the students and just encourage them. Not really looking to sell anything, not looking to showcase a product. Almost like, hey, tell me how school's going, booth.
Well, this is definitely not like Automate, because when we go to Automate or even Automation Fair, you get stopped quite a bit and you don't at these shows. That was nice.
Yeah.
But you did get stopped down there in the education part, and it was a really sweet moment.
It was. I mean, and that's when I was like, man, every time I'm like, man, I really want to find something to do there. Yeah, I guess I need to talk to the folks at IMTS and just see, like, hey, I don't really want to rep a product. I just kind of want to Oh, a table just to talk to people and encourage them.
Yeah.
All right, we got Hank Broom in the chat. Hey, oh, no kissing today, he says.
Too bad.
Tough luck. Let's see. Ellen, micro instrumentation telemetry systems. Do you have a question about that, or is that just a
Shout
something?
out.
Yeah. Miguel, thanks for your channel. It's one of the best I've learned from. I'm happy to hear that. You know, those are. I mean, I think that was the cool part about this going back to the student summit and some of the upstairs when we were in like the automation area. You know, that does. You know, sometimes you just put videos out and you're like, man, is anybody actually, isn't it, it's great that you get views, but is it actually helping someone?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I did get to talk to a lot of people there. See, Julio, GM guys. What's that mean?
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. Yeah, Amber cracks up all the time because I struggle with acronyms. So I will be sitting here like.
He's also not down with our teenagers lingo, and I got that down.
I have to know every time they do that, I have to Google it. I can't follow that.
Yeah.
See, Hank. Oh yeah, can't wait to bring the girls. Yeah, you know what? I really was impressed with the student summit as far as that because they don't quote me on any of this, but I think they had over like 10,000 students. It's something insane. That may be wrong. Was that wrong?
I don't think it was that many.
Okay.
I'm not really sure on the numbers because first time it was 1,000, right? Or 11,000. 2 years ago. I think that's what you told me. I didn't go 2 years ago, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was way more than 1,000. I probably saw 1,000 there.
I think you.
And I wasn't there the whole
I
time.
think you said 11. I don't remember.
Yeah, but yeah, it was really good. And what I really liked is when they would bring the students in, it wasn't like they were just following along the aisles and looking. They were interacting, and the people that they had down there, the adults, did a really good job.
Really fun to talk to.
They were. I mean, it was. I thought it was well done. I mean, you're right. It'd be nice if I would kind of wish, like either it was some bonus that you got if you actually walked as an adult through the student summit. I wish the adults could be more aware of kind of what all is going on there and what all needs there are and how easy it is to really help a student.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was, yeah, I liked it a lot.
We did take the kids. Hank obviously saw that, but yeah, we took our children and we took our employee, and it was. I think they had a good time. The kids weren't there the whole time because they needed to do schoolwork too. So
well, that's one cool thing that's been, really since COVID is you miss a week of school, you missed a week of school.
Mm-hmm.
And really they did miss some things. Wendell has some tests and quizzes to make up, but for the most part, you can keep up with what's going on there.
They talked to the teachers before they left. They're like, "Look, I'm leaving to go to a trade show with my parents.
Yeah.
I need my work."
Yeah. And yeah, but highlight for me, actually, what's funny is the highlight for me is that I did not find what I was looking for. I think there's so much talk out there about AI and supposedly all that it can do for us. And so really I went there looking for some software. And it was one of those that, I see on the websites and their features that exist. And, even in the booths, I saw it kind of posted up above that this stuff supposedly exists. But when I really got leaning into every single one of them, they're like, oh, well, check again in 6 months. And it's like, what do you mean check again in 6 months? But what I was looking for is, everybody has dashboards and they're like, yeah, we can show you when your machine's down. I'm like, well, I can see the machine's down. It's not making production over there. It's too late at that point.
Mm-hmm.
When we do a really good job in the first class at, helping you think through what's wrong with your machine. But in our second class, it's more about trying to shave the time either that it takes to find the problem once it's broken, or preferably warn you before it breaks.
Well, the way I look at it is, it's like, how you're getting a cold.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, my throat is scratchy, or I'm feeling run down. Well, that your body is giving you that data to be like, you need more vitamin C, you need more rest, you need more not alcohol, but you need more liquids and you probably need to start taking something ahead of it. So I feel like that's what it's, we're trying to get ahead of the flu.
Yeah, and but when I got asking them really about it, theirs was more about making reports based on that. It is broke. Or they're like, well, if you know the pump fails roughly every, I'm just throwing a number out, 100 hours, we can warn you before that. I'm like, well, I can do that. That's not that difficult. And, that's what I think I really took home was, and for everything that everybody's saying that there's software out there that does this AI stuff and everything, they're not doing it any better than I was doing it with a 1756 E-Web back in 2000. It's skinned a little nicer, the graphics a little nicer, but still, in the end, they're telling you the machine's broke. Well, okay, that's great, but that doesn't I already know that.
Chat.
All right, go to the chat. Let's see, Skylar. Oh man,
You need to go all the way up.
where am I going up to? Hank.
Wait.
Hank's right there.
Uh-huh.
Can't wait till I can bring the girls.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
Buckreel. I did miss Buckreel. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, Tim and Amber. Have a question about Fusion 24 inputs on AB PLC. Yeah, what's your question? Throw it on in there. Let's see, Tyler. Skibidi Fortnite. What's that mean? Still none of those. I got to Google it. Throw it in there what that means. Julio just learned that today. GM, okay, thanks. Let's see. Pawan, good night. Good to see you there in India. This guy is, hi, good evening. Happy to be here. Well, I'm happy to have you here. Buckreel, specifically, I got to you, Buckreel. If you need to put a fuse between a 1606 24-volt power supply and the 24-volt inputs of the Micrologix 1400, well, so mainly that will mostly depend on whether it's a class 2 power supply, what the wattage rating is compared to what the outputs can handle. I kind of lean towards fusing, period, because there's nothing worse than going and there's no power on and you start having to just pull wires at least until the power supply comes back on. With 1606, if you short it out, it will shut off and it'll occasionally try to repower itself. So by putting a fuse in there or a breaker or something like that, it allows it that fuse would immediately blow, and then we'd still have power so we could tell somebody that something's wrong. So overall, and you say fuse, but there's some really cool overcurrent protection out now. We're doing one from Pills in our smart manufacturing cell series. The video's not out yet, but I think it has a yes, it has a big 200-watt power supply, but then you can divvy it up into, I think, 8 different circuits electronically, and it kind of tells you how much loader is on them, and you can set when they trip. Kind of cool stuff. Let's see, Ellen, you need to open a finance department with trainer boards to get some financial help for paying for trainer boards. Well, no, I don't agree with that because I think you can build your own. I think we have some really cool trainers and they can be beneficial, but you can go get a piece of plastic and lay out some. I mean, really, that trainer is based off of me grabbing a piece of aluminum and really sketching out what I felt would work good.
Yeah.
So go to your local hardware store and or electronic supply place. Grab some buttons, some switches, and everything, and yeah, you can get it, and then pick you up a PLC. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Jasvier, good afternoon from Oklahoma. Well, good to have you here. There's Michael Wilborne. Hey, Michael. Miguel. I'm currently working at a startup, and I'm fortunate to be exposed to the commissioning phase of manufacturing plant. And I worked really, it was a difficult video to make. I recorded us starting up this smart manufacturing series, and I didn't hide anything. So it didn't start up great, but I was like, if I just go ahead and hit the record button and just show them, hey, all right, I tried this and it didn't work. Let's figure out why. I think that's going to be one of the better videos in that series. Let's see. David Clark. Tim, I'm a technician who recently been switching to use RS Logic to connect to components. My company has found it necessary to do data logging. Do you have any suggestions for CCW and tracking info? I did a video. I didn't ever do a video. I did play with the data logging one time. It has data logging, and I need to play with it some more. The one thing that I hate, I don't know why they did it. Version 22 of connected components, at least I hope temporarily, they took the trending out,
Mhm.
which was a really great feature because not only could you trend PLC data, but let's say you just had a PowerFlex 525 and you were trying to check something on it, you could connect to it, no PLC involved, and you could trend the data.
I'm a big fan of trending.
Yes, and yeah, but yeah, that in fact, I'll make sure I put that on the list because yeah, it kind of goes along with our whole discussion we're having about the smart manufacturing because that's what I really found out in the end is everybody. I don't know. You get back to the chat in a second. Everybody right now is saying, well, yeah, we want data, we want data, we want data, and they're data logging. But then it's like, okay, what are you actually doing with it? And that's kind of what I went to IMTS for. It's like, okay, I'm just going to go talk to every software company. First, I did the stroll around. It's like there was no magic, you know, one that I found. And so the next day, I really made a list, and I said, I'm going to go to every one of these booths that claims they can do it. And either I'm going to walk out knowing they can do it, or I'm going to walk out with them telling me no, they can't do it. And every single one of them in the end folded and said, no, we can't do that. But, it kind of got me. I started on a whole, oh man, I watched 8 hours of statistics videos since IMTS because I had statistics class 30 years ago.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm a little rusty. But one guy brought up a really good point. I won't mention who it is, but he was probably the only one that was truly honest. He said, what you want to do would be so good, but there's no one in their right mind would ever actually let that fly. There's too much liability. You're going to have to identify, your risks, the same as, a safety system or something. And so that got me thinking, it used to irritate me in statistics classes. I was on an engineering curriculum. We solve problems. Statistics, you never solve a problem. You just give the likelihood that it can't be solved. And it's like, or it always blew my mind, but now I get that. Um, but yeah, I did have a thought this morning on that. Is the one place that does it, and I'm going to try to make a video series on it, is YouTube.
Mm.
So in the back end of YouTube, I can actually, everybody looks for views. I could care less about views. You know, um, I'm super happy if like half of y'all get to the end of the video. That used to be exciting, and so I would use that data though, and I'd see you dip off, and I'm like, man, what did I say there? And I would replay it right there, and I'm like, oh, that was just totally a turn off, or oh, that was totally dumb, or I just started rambling, so I would tweak it, and now getting 65% of you to the end of the video is a good number. But all that to say, what every group that I talked to wanted to do, they're like, well, if you just give us the high and the low, then we can alarm, if you're outside of that. But in order for that to work, that means the high and low can never change and your process can never change. And I hope we're all trying to improve our processes. And I have another company that sends us alerts off of YouTube. And it's an issue with them. I end up having to shut all their alerts off because, yeah, used to, I was really happy with 50%. And if I got 60% of you watching to the end of the video, it would send me an email and I'd be like, oh, what did I do right in there? Well, after a while, I got an email off of every single video that we posted. And but what YouTube does that is different is, they'll show you your pretty much what we call the audience retention in it. And then there's a gray area. And it's kind of a track record of your previous videos. And I do watch that. I'm like, if I'm in the gray area, that's okay. If I'm below the gray area, you folks did not like that video. If I'm above it, I'm like, oh, wow, well, let's see what's in that. And that's what we kind of need is some logging and then just some generalization. But they do some really cool things, and I'm going to try to make a series kind of talking about different ways that we can look at performance because one real key one is cycle time. Almost all machines have a fairly predictable cycle time, and if that cycle time's longer or shorter, that can be an indication of a problem. You take a furnace, And let's say we're doing an anneal, and it should take 20 minutes for it to get up to a temperature and bake for a while. Well, what if it takes 22 minutes all of a sudden? That probably means one of our burners is going out. So I'm going to try that. All right, where was I at, Amber? I am at David Clark. Is that right? Oh, no,
Mhm.
all right. We were talking. That's how I got on this rant was David Clark. But yeah, I need to do some on data logging. I don't know if you've seen our course, and for connected components. I'll end up putting it there, but there's a lot of good help for you in there. Courses.twcontrols.com. One of these days I'm gonna have all these links ready.
Mm.
Let's see. Buckrill, can you put the model number of the pills power supply in your chat? Well, let me see if I can find that really fast. Amber, can you keep everybody entertained for me?
What would you like me to talk about? I really can't follow. I really can't follow what you just said with anything good.
Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna give you two part numbers. This first one is the power supply. So this is the power supply. And then this one is the class 2 overcurrent protection. And this is a really cool feature. I think this is kind of more of what you're looking for there. So class 2 overcurrent protection. There you go. See if those two help you out. I see. Arc Living, hey, good to see you here as always. I like to have a separate circuit breakers on the processor inputs, and there you go. Buck Real, I don't know if you read what Arc Living's saying, but that's some really good advice there. Is, you know, if they're separated, then it just helps us narrow down the problem faster. If I go into
Mhm.
a control panel and there's no power compared to no output power, I mean, I'm on my way if I know there's no output power. Oh, okay, Buck. Real. I see now that you did see it. I'm a little behind on the chat. Let's see. Hi, Tim and Amber. Just want to drop in and say thanks for all you do. I'm glad to help you out. And yeah, if you
They
have any
can
questions.
drop some love and say, thanks for all you do.
Oh, what did I say?
Just drop in.
Oh, drop some love and say, well, we love you too. Thank you. And yeah, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Hank says, I use the PanelView Plus for data logging, and the customer got spreadsheets using FileZilla. It worked well. And you can do that with the, since he's talking about the connected components, the PanelView 800, you can do that also. A lot of people don't realize you can actually data log to the USB thumb drive on the back of the PanelView. Now, somebody will immediately say, well, they say you're not supposed to keep that thumb drive in there. Well, I get that. But, it is a way that we can get data, but it'll put it in a CSV format. There's two tricks to doing it in connected components. I don't. I just modified our training workbook for this, but there is a log trigger tag, and what you need to do is create a memory tag, and that's what I just create a memory tag and call it always on, and just put a 1 in it and drop that for it. That makes it log all the time. You need to make it where it logs when it is not on the trend screen. That way it logs all the time. And then log to the USB thumb drive. I guess that's three things you need to do. But yeah, if you have a panel view, that one works pretty good for that. But yeah, the connecting components I know does data logging. I know I played with it. I can't I can't remember it though. It wasn't eventful enough. But I'm getting ready to do the PID series for the connected components workbench. It needs brushed up some, and I will have a look then.
Ooh, these chats are just coming in.
Let's see.
Can you
Hey
make
Darth
them
X. Huh?
Can you make them any bigger? Because I'm sitting here like, I can't see.
I cannot do it in here, but we can get over. Oh no, here we go. Check this out. We go over here. Oh yeah, now we can do that. What is it? Control Shift Plus. Control Shift Plus. Oh yeah, can you read that now?
Yes.
Oh yeah, there we go. You want more?
No, that's good.
Okay, now I got to figure out where we're at. Okay, Buck Reel. Also, I have a question about grounding. The 24-volt side of DC power supply. I'm using separate power supplies, my PLC and 24-volt inputs. Do both of the minuses need to be grounded? So no, and I'm not going to be able to quote it, but below below a certain size power supply. And I don't want to tell you wrong, but your typical 24-volt power supply is below it. You do not have to ground it. And you usually won't see it grounded. Now, what you will see is the commons or the minus 24 of both those power supplies. Connect those two together, because that can wreak havoc as somebody's checking stuff and it doesn't seem to harm anything. Let's see. Oops. Oh, and then
Yeah,
I
you're
dropped
right.
that. Okay.
Current.
Arthix.
Yeah.
Curious, do you know why they updated the part number of the L50 to heck yeah, that is an awesome upgrade. So I guess I should finish reading it. Do you know why they updated the part number for the 2080 LC50 model to the L50E? That L50E and the L70E have class 1 messaging. And what that is in control logics and compact logics, you know how you can have IO in your Ethernet configuration? Or you can add IO modules, you can add PowerFlex drives, things like that. You can add 4 devices in that, and they work really well. And let me see if I can find a video about that. Because yeah, when I saw it first, I was like, well, that's really interesting. Class 1. There it is. Um, Copy link address. So you can add kinetics, which I have not done the kinetics yet. Check out this video. Let's see. L50E class 1. There you go. You can add PowerFlex drives and get some really good info on them, but mainly you can add the generic Ethernet module. And so what that allowed me to do, like our Yamaha linear actuator that we use on our trainers, we can control that with the Micro 850. So now we've got an economical motion controller. Also, I think it does kinetics. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it does. Really cool feature, and Rockwell has some great documentation on it. I probably should do a video on it. Is you can add 1734.io modules over Ethernet to the Micro 850. Is a little bit of a trick to understanding the generic module, adding up your inputs and outputs for it, but I did it. It works great. So yeah, that's a cool feature. Let's see. Yeah, customer didn't want to open the panel, get the thumb drive. Yeah, that's one. One I can't figure out is if you have a PanelView 800 configured for a micro 800 PLC, you can email out of it. But if you switch it to a compact Logix PLC, they don't let you email. And it's like, that just seems like somebody turned off a feature because they didn't want you to use the PanelView 800 with the compact Logix. I don't know. But yeah, that is a good point there, that you do have to open the cabinet to do that. Mike Wilson. Hi, Tim and Amber. Have a project with FluidWell batch controller using a Micro 820 and Modbus, and I keep getting a 130 illegal address error when I put in the manufacturer PDU address. Any idea? 130s are really. Is that a serial? Is that Modbus RTU? I think probably it is. But yeah, 130 is one of the tough ones that you do have to battle, because a lot of times it means that either you're requesting the wrong size. Actually, well, now I'm trying to remember. Hey, anybody look up the 130's error? I didn't boot up an image. 130 legal data address. Yeah, that's the data address one. Did you say up there? Yeah, an illegal data address. That usually means that you're trying to read to the wrong cell. So what are the address numbers? Are they something like 40,002? If they are, try just making it 2. Now, coincidentally, if it is 2 that they're going to, maybe try making it 40,002. My bus is always an interesting one because once you set it up, it works, but it is kind of like folding your data up into a paper airplane and tossing it across the wall, and it lands somewhere. But yeah, it leaves a lot to be desired in that.
You say Modbus, I think of a clothing line I like. That's called Modbus.
Wow. Do they have TCP and RTU clothing? Because I'd love that.
No, it's very 70s, 60s retro.
Well, most people will call Modbus 70 60 retro. They go right together. In fact, that's probably the best description of it. Let's see. But yeah, that'd be my guess on it. Jasper, do you have any? Do you have a video on backoff? The only video on backoff we have is setting the IP address with the IP Explorer, or maybe it's just discovering it. But yeah, I know that part works with it. Backoff is one of those that I say follows. I'll call it the industrial standard. I hate to say the IEEE 61131 standard, as it gets under a lot of people's skin for one.
They
but
follow the rule.
but here's what I always tell everybody: is like, well, you make videos on Acme PLCs. I don't think there is an Acme PLC, but if they follow those basic principles, then your basic lessons are going to be the same. In fact, we're building out a Siemens. We are building out a Siemens PLC series right now. I am literally watching the Alan Bradley video, then hitting the record button and saying almost the exact same thing. And so in the end, that communication is the biggest battle. But Beckhoff does a really good job at the communications part, if my understanding. See, Buckley. Okay, to be clear, connect both of the 24-volt commons together. Do the commons need to be connected to ground or leave them floating? It is a preference. I always leave them floating, and the reason I always leave them floating is because that's what I learned to do. I know it's optional below a certain volt amp, and I can't remember what that volt amp is. Um, let's see. Marco, hi Tim and Eric, hope all is well. I did 5 years for the Navy in a role I would compare to instrumentation controls. Got an associate's degree in electrical controls and technology, and did some work after that as a control technician, service technician. I want to make my way to controls engineer level. How confident should I be that I'd be able to be successful at that? Well, absolutely.
Confident.
Super confident. That's half the battle.
I mean, look at all the experience you've already gained. Like, that's just a tiny little bit of a learning curve. I mean, go for it.
The only thing that I think you didn't mention in yours is PLC. So if you're not good with PLCs, then that would be the one to focus on. I can tell you that a lot of the people who come to our training, a lot of the people who come to training are out of the military. Some of the best training you can get, but a lot of them come out of that instrumentation role. So it's a very natural transition where you end up in the controls engineer there. Yeah, you got this. Go. In fact, if you will send me an email, actually, no, let me just go get that link. That would probably be easier because, yeah, here's where I almost need the master list of them. But go to this course right here, and where was it? There I am. Connected. Oh, can't spell there, can I? Components, workbench. Oh, still can't spell. Course.
You're not allowed to spell on Sundays. It's okay. You don't have to.
But go to that course, and there is, I think it's called the Fast Track to Learning PLC series. It's one that we're building out right now. Because, a lot of people want small, bite-sized pieces that they can refer back to. And a lot of people are like, no, I want to sit down in front of the computer and not get up until I learn this whole thing. And so we're kind of working on that series mainly for a lot of the trade schools. A lot of technical schools have asked for it. But go to there and do that first video. It'll talk you through how to download. You'll need to jump out for a second and grab the simulator. Learn how to do the simulator. It's really straightforward. I probably should have put it in that video. I'll probably make a small one to add to it. But then go through the basic bits, go through the timers, and about there, you're gonna either be like, nah, I'm not interested in this, or you're gonna be like, oh, I need some hardware. And then we can talk about some hardware options. But yeah, you got this. I mean, yeah. In fact, that was an interesting thing. I don't know if everybody knows it. It's nostalgic going to IMTS. Yeah, I'm a machinist by trade. I haven't machined anything worth a
We
crap in
in that.
30 years, but
Like I am the weirdo, and I was trying to tell somebody at IMTS this that I'm the weirdo that loves the smell of welding dust. So we walked by one exhibit and big CNC machines, big machines, and I was like, I smell it. There's that welding dust. I mean, you could just, but we grew up smelling that, being around it,
mhm,
and so it was like just regular
yeah. But yeah,
nostalgic.
reach out to me after you go through that. And yeah, let's see what the best fit is for you. Kind of go into I can't remember who it was earlier about um do we need finance officers or trainers? Well, no, probably not. But it could be our trainers a good fit. It could be that you can find enough spare parts to build something to get you going. And I always like to talk to, especially as an individual, to see what the best is. See, Darthanex says, thank you for your answer. So I'm assuming the L50E can natively add up to 4 PowerFlex 525s and integrate them as a compact. Yes, and bonus fact.
Yes, and more.
And more. If I can add 40 power, oh, maybe not 40. I can add 20 power flexes to a micro 850 that's an LC50. Because Rockwell has a user defined function block. Keep them entertained, Amber. And there it is. Is this the one?
Yeah, user defined function blocks can components.
Must be an acronym. User defined
Defined.
UDFB. Ah,
Look at you.
there we go. So check out this video. It's an older video, but you can download this off of Rockwell's website.
When there was no gray in Tim's hair.
25.
There's never been gray in my hair. I mean, it changes colors because I'm a colorful person, but there's no gray.
Yeah, we were. I was learning to use some drawing software one time, and I decided to draw our house. And it was one of those that you could kind of render everything, your couches and everything. And so when you took the top off of our house, it's like all the colors of the rainbow because every room's different.
I need color in my life. All of it.
But yeah, so with that user defined function block, in fact, our trainer, no, yeah, I hate just starting to dump, but yeah, we're gonna probably just dump another link at you in a second. Our default trainer, help me out. Default program that we ship with our PLC trainer still uses the user defined function block because I just upgraded them. And early when I looked at it, it's like, it's a cool feature, but there's nothing wrong with the user defined function block either. And as of today, I think there's more of that being used. So let's see, let me go ahead and get that link. That's under twcontrols.com/getting started, which actually, if you don't know, this link right here, whether you use our trainer or not, let's see, getting started with your PLC trainer. This link right here has a lot of good info for our trainers, but also for people not using our trainer. And mainly step 2 or step 3 has our sample PLC programs that are installed and has the wiring enough to get started exercise, which is what arguably 99% of our lessons are based on that wiring diagram. I've tried to keep it the same, through all these years. And, but yeah, in that sample program, if you download the Micro 850 sample program, it has the user defined function block in it. So, and with that one, you're limited only by your connection.
Thank you, Hank. That's cute.
What's that?
Amber, Junior Board of Directors, number 2. Aiden loves the smell of welding. I get in trouble if I weld without her. I was like that with my dad. I was just like, I would if I would spend the weekends with him and I would walk in to his shop and I could smell it. I was like, what were you doing? What were you doing without me? But he's the one who taught me how to, weld. I prefer not to now.
We can both weld,
I prefer
but
to farm it out.
we prefer to have a real welder do it so that it looks like, we need a lot of grinding on our welds to make them look nice. Nice.
Thank you so much for the answers here. This is really cool that you take the time on your Sunday to do this. I really appreciate it. Last question. What time does class start on Monday?
It is at 8 a.m. And it is a 5-day class. And when I say 5 days, that's not, I have to tell people all the time, that's not a 4.5 day class. It is
Yeah.
8 to 5-ish, Monday through Friday.
You can't come in late to the class because Monday we hit the ground running, and Friday until the very end you're just, but it's a wealth of information. And I know a lot of people like who was our fellow that said he was a little it was it Mark
Yes.
Marco. It's, you sometimes get a little intimidated when you're one in a classroom full of people who have either already done this before or have been well trained beforehand. But I will tell you, the people that come in there like, oh my God, what am I doing? By Friday, you leave there, or sometimes you don't leave at all, and we have to make you leave because sometimes it's 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night on a Friday. But you leave there with confidence, number one.
Yeah.
Two, you leave there with like this new knowledge that you can implement into your work life. And three, you end up actually making friends. Like
Yeah.
we have a community page where at the end of the class we tell them, we're like, guys, we have a community page, but by that time they've already exchanged numbers and emails and they keep up with each other. It's insane.
What's funny is, that there's a lot of team building in it, but sometimes it's time to put somebody front and center and they've got to figure it out. And everybody else will be trying to blurt out the answer. And I'm like, are you going to be there for him Monday? And they're like, well, I did already get his phone number. Like, yeah, but
Yeah.
you got to be able to think through. But, it's one of and that's, people worry a lot about, well, I don't know if I get enough experience to come to the class. You'll get more out of the class the more experience you have. But I don't think there's only been one person that I really feel I left behind, and it's still that one haunts me to this day, and I've never let it happen since. But I've had people there that have never used a voltmeter before. I've had people there. I've had one person there that never saw the inside of a control panel before. Yeah. And sometimes I have had to stay with people till 8, 9 o'clock at night, just to kind of go over some additional stuff. But
we've had guys that are even women that have come in there, and like by Tuesday they're like, if I don't show up tomorrow, it's because I think this is over my head, and something happens and they get there the next morning, it's like something starts to click. And some people might think that the constant emails between you and Tim, and he's asking you questions about your experience, what do you hope to learn? All these questions are actually getting you to a point where we can cater to your needs in the classroom, training center, lab, whatever you want to call it, our second home.
Yeah, and are you going bowling today?
I'm going bowling finally.
Yeah, so while she goes bowling, I need to get the lab set up, or at least clean my mess up, because I get to go to TraceRouteCon this week. I will be in Plano, Texas, learning about networking. So hopefully I can bring you some decent networking videos. I know how to get you connected to the machine when you plug into it in the front.
But it's the troubleshooting the network thing.
Yeah, I mean, if all of a sudden there's people start gibbering all packet stuff and all that, you're gonna lose me fast.
And here's the thing: he will teach you troubleshooting who needs to be taught troubleshooting. So like, don't ever think that behind the scenes the trainers are not constantly getting training. And yes, I am bowling tonight. I haven't bowled since April 28th. And we won, by the way, again, number one. And also yesterday, so Tim and I try to do date days on Saturday. We see a lot of people out and about on Saturdays because we're community, I wouldn't say leaders. Yeah, I guess we're community leaders, right?
Involved in our community. We try to volunteer.
And one of our friends was like, what? jet setters, and it's like we started thinking we have been nonstop since January, like but it's been good, but also we have been nonstop.
Yeah. And yes, actually, this is it for me though. No, I got one more travel after this.
And then
And
no, you have two more travels after this.
two
And
apparently.
then so do I.
But yeah, after that, yeah, I am looking forward to just some time. Honestly, the off weeks of the lab, you know, a lot of times we go in there and we do just try exercises. Kind of going back to reading Darth in here that watched an old video before and it really helped. But at the time I had sent you a message asking about the limit of quantity of drives. I think you told me the limit's probably 5. You know, I have way more confidence in the Micro 850 now than I did then. I don't know where I came up with the 5 at, but I probably was like, I don't know, this kind of seems sketchy. But realistically, we've ran them enough now, they're very reliable. I have done 5 drives. So I've done 5 and had no issues. I'm not sure what the connection limit is. Well, I'll tell you what, I can't make any promises this happens soon, but I got 15 of them in the training center. I can I could try to run all 15 off of and find out what happens. After I get my network training, that way I can tell you what the world's going on, maybe. All right, let's see.
Should have wore my junior board of director hat today.
No, Hank, you just do such an awesome job. And we do, yeah, we have junior board of directors hats now.
I know.
And
It's pink. And
that would have been good. Ah, let's see. Douglas, hey, watching you from Brazil? Well, hey, Douglas, good to have you here. Buck Real, I'm ready to work. I'll be there early. I'm getting my PLC trainer going on Monday and have a week before I get out. Also, get those strikes, Amber. The Hank Broom Tracer Out Con is an awesome course. I went to the first one. Josh does an amazing job, and I'm looking forward to it. He's helped me out of so many binds where, I'm just like, man, this, but that's what I want to get there and learn is, I can do the basics. I can get you connected to the machine. But then all of a sudden, I was having an issue where the laptops were radically dropping off, and all you have to do is hit go online, and they go right back online. I'm like, what is going on? And I mean, I'm thinking I'm like, man, I guess I need to upgrade this and do that. And I sent Josh a picture of my network and everything, and he's like, yeah. It's not the best laid out network, but it shouldn't be having this much trouble. And and then he gets digging into it. He's like, yeah, he actually messaged me that morning. He's like, hey, call me when you get up. I got your solution.
oh my God.
And he's like, yeah, I stayed up all night thinking about that. I'm like, that network's not that bad. Let me look at those packets again. And he found exactly what it was. I needed to click one button and everything went to working perfectly. So yeah, I'm looking forward to learning all about that. So Miguel, if you don't mind sharing, what is your, man, I wish they would, YouTube still has this emoji in the way, so I'm going to guess it's some of Miguel's turn. And then, well, somebody throw something in the chat, that way I can see what he says. See.
OEM.
Tim, if you don't mind sharing, what is your experience with controls? Was it manufacturing or more working? Something.
In OEM, creating, designing equipment.
Thank you, Michael. So I grew up in a machine shop, completely mechanical, and then they were looking to start doing turnkey equipment, and they didn't have anybody to do the controls. And I took a stab at it. So I went in at nights so the customer wouldn't know I didn't know how to program PLC. And we didn't have the internet then, so I had my Allen Bradley Slick 500 reference manual. And there was another one. You had the reference manual and I think the hardware manual. Because, I couldn't figure out I had to figure the wiring and everything out. I didn't know what syncing and sourcing and any of that was. But yeah, at nights I managed to get it working and just got hooked on it. And so I would build equipment for a while. I guess you call that the OEM part. But Then I went and worked maintenance at a local manufacturer that was built in 1968. And really, they had every generation of equipment from 1968 to 2001. And that is where I would say I really honed my skills to where I can deliver this content or deliver the training was during that part there. So hopefully that helps. And yeah, and we are right about where I wanted to be time wise. So let me talk a little bit about what I hope to do because a lot of you are like, well, you just set a time to be online. Well, I can't.
Yeah,
Sometimes, sometimes it's date day. Sometimes we have training weeks. Some of you
we're
are,
traveling.
and some of you work days and are like, I would have loved to have done that. Could you have had it in the evening? And some of you are sitting there watching YouTube at work at night, and all of a sudden I'll do it at night, and you'll be like, "Hey, thanks for for helping out second shift finally." So This is not good. I'm gonna do my best to do one a week. Training weeks are a little rocky. I can't do them during the week of a training week. I don't have enough gas unless I did it early in the morning. But I'll try to do the weekends of training weeks, and then I'm gonna try to rotate it around though, and sometimes they'll be themed. The next themed one we have, and I'm not sure the date of it, it will be during the week, will be on Micro 800 analog and scaling and making some basic decisions.
Sure.
And then the next themed one is PID for the Micro 800. And then I'm not going to do live stream of the control logics because I am going to go more into there's a lot of confusion people have about what proportional, integral, and derivative actually do, and they try to generalize it. And yeah, I'm going to do my best to try to make some sense. But that's all we have. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you soon. Bye. Oh no, I